The scans
Ilior
confirm the
Cade
energy
sat alone
signature,
in the
but the
small
landing coordinates are
observation room of
fluctuating.
Virlia
We proceed
Station,
as planned.
staring
I'll
at the
secure the
stars through
LZ.
the wide viewport. The blue planet below shimmered like a jewel, its atmosphere glowing softly against the black void of space. Despite the breathtaking view, Ilior felt a deep emptiness inside him. He was an engineer, one of the best humanity had sent to this remote system. The station was a marvel of human design, sleek metal corridors, quiet hums of machinery, and an advanced AI that monitored everything. Yet, for all its technology, it could not replace the warmth of another human being. Ilior had spent nearly 5 years here, working on experimental interstellar communication arrays, transmitting signals faster than light. But the work, though important, brought him no companionship. Tonight, as the stars stretched endlessly before him, Ilior decided to try something bold. He had designed a program to send a message to any sentient life within 10 light-years of the station. It was simple, polite, and direct. He wanted a partner, a friend, someone who could understand him. He stared at the holographic keyboard hovering in the air. "This is Ilior Cade of Virlia Station," he typed. "I am human. I seek companionship. I wish to know and share life with someone who understands and respects me. Respond if you wish." He hesitated. Sending such a personal message into the galaxy was risky. Many civilizations would find it strange. Some might even consider it foolish. But Ilior's loneliness was stronger than his caution. With a deep breath, he pressed transmit. The message shot across the stars. It would take weeks, maybe months, to reach any listening civilization. Ilior leaned back, watching the stars twinkle, trying to imagine who, if anyone, would respond. Days passed. At first there was nothing. Then came the replies, but they were not what Ilior had hoped for. The first reply was from a crystalline species, the Zorath, whose voices rang like tiny chimes. They found the idea of pairing with a human amusing but irrelevant. "Your species is primitive," they chimed. "We do not seek what you offer." The next reply came from a gaseous intelligence, the Sylph, who lived in drifting nebulae. They were polite but cautious. "Your request is noted." The Sylph's message pulsed in colors Ilior could almost feel. "We cannot share a bond with a human. Our forms are incompatible." Even a mechanical species, the Orcs, sent a message. "Human desire for companionship is illogical. Transmission terminated." Ilior read each message with growing disappointment. Every civilization had its own rules, its own ways of seeing the universe, and humans, with their emotions and quirks, often seemed too unpredictable. Yet he refused to despair. Humans were known for persistence, for trying again when others would stop. Ilior was no different. He continued refining his message. He made it simpler, warmer, more honest. He included small personal details, his love of star maps, his habit of humming old human songs while working, his hope that someone would respond not out of obligation but curiosity. Weeks passed. Still the galaxy seemed silent. Ilior walked the station's corridors, talking to the AI for company. "Mara, do you think anyone will respond?" he asked one evening. "Probability remains low, Ilior," the AI replied in its calm, neutral tone. "Most civilizations avoid human contact. Your persistence is noted as unusual but consistent with human behavioral patterns." "Thanks," Ilior muttered, smiling weakly. "I'll take unusual over nothing." Then, one morning, a new signal arrived. Unlike the others, it was unmistakably human. The signature was familiar yet distant. A small thrill ran through Ilior. He opened the message. "Hello, Ilior," it read. "I am Lyra Ven. I received your message. I admire your persistence. Most humans I know would have given up long ago. I wish to meet you and see if we can understand each other." Ilior's heart raced. A human, not an alien, not a strange intelligence from beyond. Someone who shared his species, someone who could understand the humor, the fear, and the hope of being human in a vast galaxy. He activated the station's tracking systems. Lyra's ship was on its way from a distant asteroid belt. She was skilled, intelligent, and unafraid of long, lonely journeys, qualities that Ilior had always valued but never expected to find in a partner. Still, he could not ignore the nervous flutter in his stomach. Meeting someone after years of isolation was not easy. What if she didn't like him? What if, after all this effort, the connection failed? When the first faint glimmer of Lyra's ship appeared on the sensors, Ilior felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. He prepared the station's docking bay, checking every system twice. Every bolt, every shield, every protocol had to work perfectly. Hours passed. The ship entered the station's orbit. Its sleek hull glinted under the light of the nearby star. Ilior watched as the docking clamps aligned and locked into place. His hands shook slightly as he activated the hatch. Lyra stepped out. She was human but not quite like him, strong, confident, and full of life. Her eyes sparkled with curiosity, and her smile, cautious yet genuine, seemed to light up the sterile station corridor. "Ilior?" she asked, her voice steady but warm. "Yes," he replied, stepping forward. "Lyra, I welcome you." For a moment, silence stretched between them. Two humans, alone in a remote corner of the galaxy, staring at each other after months of anticipation and countless messages. The stars outside seemed to hold their breath. Lyra laughed softly. "I wasn't sure what to expect." "Neither was I," Ilior admitted. "But I think it's good to see you." They spent the rest of the day exploring the station. Ilior showed her the communication arrays, the labs where he had spent countless lonely hours, and the observation deck with the view of the blue planet below. Lyra asked questions, not just about his work but about him, his dreams, his fears, his hope for companionship. Ilior realized that, despite the many replies he had received from alien civilizations, none had felt like this. Lyra's presence was different. She didn't dismiss him, judge him, or laugh at his persistence. She chose to come, despite the distance, despite the unknown. Night fell over Virelia Station, and the two humans sat side by side on the observation deck. The stars stretched endlessly above them, and for the first time in years, Ilior felt that he was not alone. "Do you ever get lonely?" Lyra asked quietly, her eyes fixed on the stars. "All the time," Ilior admitted. "But maybe the right person can make it bearable." Lyra nodded, a small smile playing on her lips. "I think I'm willing to try, Ilior, if you are." He took a deep breath, feeling the weight of hope settle into his chest. After years of isolation, after messages ignored and rejected, a human had chosen to stay. It was not guaranteed, it was not easy, but it was real. Outside, the galaxy stretched endlessly, full of unknown civilizations and infinite stars. Inside, on a small station orbiting a quiet planet, two humans began a story of connection, resilience, and discovery. Ilior knew the journey ahead would not be simple. There would be misunderstandings, dangers, and moments when hope seemed fragile. But for the first time in years, he felt ready to face the unknown, not alone, but with someone who understood what it meant to be human. As the station hummed softly around them, Ilior and Lyra watched the stars in companionable silence, each heart beating with anticipation of what the future might hold. The day after Lyra's arrival, the station seemed brighter, though Ilior knew that was just a trick of the mind. Having another human around changed everything. Even the hum of the machinery felt friendlier. Still, there was work to do. The station was not built for leisure. It had experiments to conduct, systems to maintain, and communication arrays to monitor. Lyra moved confidently through the corridors, her boots clicking softly on the metal floors. She examined the panels, asked questions, and occasionally laughed at Ilior's explanations. She had a sharp mind and a quick wit, and it fascinated Ilior to watch her. She noticed details he had overlooked for years, and she solved minor technical problems he had struggled with. "You've been alone here too long," she said one afternoon, adjusting a loose panel. "You're brilliant, but you need perspective, maybe even companionship." Ilior smiled, though he felt a blush rising. "I think I am learning that now," he said softly. Yet the presence of another human was not without challenges. Ilior had grown used to solitude, to controlling every aspect of his life without compromise. Lyra was bold, independent, and had her own way of doing things. Sometimes their approaches clashed. One evening, while they were adjusting the station's communication array, Lyra suggested a more experimental method to boost the signal. Ilior, cautious by habit, hesitated. "I don't know if we should risk it," he said, adjusting his glasses. "The last time we tried something like this, we lost half the subspace transmitter for 3 days. And we could gain twice the efficiency if we try it differently," Lyra argued. "You're thinking small, Ilior." "You always think small." "Small keeps us alive," Ilior countered, frustration creeping into his voice. The tension hung between them like a storm cloud. Neither wanted to back down, yet neither wanted conflict. They finally settled on a compromise, adjusting the array cautiously, step by step. When the experiment succeeded, the tension eased, replaced by shared laughter and a sense of accomplishment. "See," Lyra said, her eyes sparkling. "Sometimes taking a risk is worth it." "Sometimes survival matters more," Ilior replied, smiling. "And sometimes I just need to remember that I don't have to do everything alone." That night, the two humans sat on the observation deck again. The planet below glimmered like a sapphire, and distant stars twinkled as if watching them. "Ilior," Lyra said softly, "have you ever felt like the galaxy is too big for just one person to matter?" Ilior thought for a moment. "Yes. But I've also learned that even one person can change everything. Maybe not the galaxy, but at least a corner of it. And that's enough sometimes," Lyra said, leaning back. "It's enough to survive, to understand, to grow." Despite the growing trust, a sense of unease lingered. The station's sensors began picking up strange readings, energy fluctuations, minor asteroid movements, and unexplained radio signals. Ilior and Lyra had thought the system was quiet, remote, and safe. But the universe, it seemed, had other plans. "I don't like this," Ilior admitted as he monitored the readings. "These anomalies, they're not natural." Lyra stepped closer, placing a hand on his shoulder. "We can handle it. Humans are good at handling the unexpected." Ilior looked at her, realizing how much he admired her confidence. Her presence was not just comforting, it was inspiring. Together, they began analyzing the anomalies. The patterns suggested an approaching object, something massive, moving through the asteroid belt near Virlia Station. "A ship?" Lyra asked. "Possibly," Ilior replied, tapping on the console. "But not like any ship we've seen. These energy signatures, they're unusual. Alien but advanced, and aggressive." The station's AI, Mara, projected a visual, a dark, angular vessel moving at alarming speed. It was unlike any human craft. Ilior and Lyra exchanged a glance. "So much for a quiet system," Lyra muttered, gripping the edge of the console. Ilior nodded. "We need to be ready. I don't know their intentions, but we can't wait to find out." Over the next few hours, they prepared the station's defenses. Shields were reinforced, energy weapons were calibrated, and escape protocols were tested. Lyra, despite being new to this station, proved invaluable. Her quick thinking and fearless attitude balanced Ilior's cautious planning. "If they attack, we use their own expectations against them," she said. "They'll assume we're weak. Let's prove them wrong." The first encounter came at dusk, when the alien vessel entered the station's detection range. It was a hulking craft, dark and silent, with strange symbols etched across its hull. The sensors detected movement inside, likely automated drones or alien crew. Ilior and Lyra worked in tandem, coordinating shields and communication arrays. Every calculation, every adjustment was critical. The station vibrated as the alien vessel fired probing energy pulses, testing their defenses. "They're measuring our response," Ilior said, eyes glued to the console. "Then let's give them a show," Lyra replied, activating a diversion using the station's energy cores. It created false signals, masking the station's true position. The alien sensors were fooled and their first approach failed. Ilior felt a surge of pride. "Humans do not give up," he muttered. Lyra laughed. "Not even when we're scared out of our minds." Hours passed in tense silence. The alien ship tested every system, but Ilior and Lyra adapted faster than expected. Their human ingenuity, born from years of solving unpredictable problems, allowed them to anticipate the alien strategies. "They won't stop," Ilior said, exhaustion creeping in. "We need a way to make them leave." Lyra's eyes brightened. "We don't just make them leave, we make them respect humans." Working quickly, they modified the station's energy fields to create the illusion of a far larger defense system. The aliens, detecting a threat far beyond their estimation, hesitated. Then, in a surprising display, the alien vessel retreated, leaving the station unharmed. Ilior and Lyra collapsed into their chairs, breathing heavily. They had survived not because of superior firepower, but because humans adapt, improvise, and outthink the odds. I can't believe we did it," Ilior said, smiling weakly. "They actually left." Lyra leaned back, looking at the stars. "Believe it. Humans have a way of surprising everyone, even themselves." The tension slowly melted into laughter and relief. They repaired minor damages and checked every system again. By the time night fell over Virlia Station, Ilior realized something profound. He and Lyra worked as a team, complementing each other in ways no AI or alien could replace. "You know," Lyra said quietly, "most people would have run away after that encounter, but we stayed." "Together," Ilior nodded. "And that says something about us, about humans." They spent the rest of the evening on the observation deck, talking about their lives, their hopes, and the strange paths that had led them here. Ilior shared stories of his childhood, his fascination with stars, and his dream of exploring the galaxy. Lyra spoke of her travels between human colonies, her love of adventure, and her curiosity about life beyond the stars. For the first time in years, Ilior felt connected, not just to another human, but to the larger universe in a meaningful way. He understood that danger, loneliness, and uncertainty were constants in space, but so were courage, ingenuity, and companionship. "We'll be all right," Ilior said, looking at Lyra. "No matter what comes next, we have each other." Lyra smiled. "Humans always find a way, and now we have each other." Outside, the stars stretched endlessly, indifferent yet beautiful. Inside, on a small station orbiting a quiet blue planet, two humans had proven their resilience. Their bond was new, fragile, and tested, but it was real. And in that moment, Ilior knew that humanity's greatest strength was not technology or numbers, but heart, courage, and the choice to persist against all odds. The galaxy was vast, and its challenges were many. But for Ilior and Lyra, this first encounter with danger had forged a partnership stronger than isolation, fear, or uncertainty. Together, they were ready to face whatever came next, knowing that humans, when united, could outthink, outlast, and inspire even the most advanced civilizations. The days after the alien vessel's retreat were quiet at first. Virlia Station hummed with activity as Ilior and Lyra repaired minor damages and checked the communication arrays. But the calm was deceptive. Ilior knew the universe had a way of testing humans, especially when they thought they were safe. Lyra spent her mornings analyzing the incoming signals from nearby systems, curious about alien communications. Ilior focused on reinforcing the station's defenses, tweaking energy shields, and monitoring asteroid movements. They worked side by side, learning each other's habits, strengths, and weaknesses. The bond between them grew stronger, fueled by shared purpose and trust. Yet the anomalies they had noticed earlier were not gone. The station's sensors now detected a fleet of fast-moving vessels approaching from a distant system. Their signature was unmistakably hostile, far more advanced than the previous lone ship. This was no scouting party. This was an invasion force, intent on dominance. "Ilior," Lyra said, eyes wide as she studied the projections. "These are not ordinary raiders. They have organized formations, shields, and advanced weapons. They'll overwhelm us if we face them head-on." "We don't have to face them head-on," Ilior replied, determination hardening his voice. "We'll use what we have: brains, speed, adaptability. That's human strength. They may have numbers and power, but humans, we have ingenuity." They spent hours devising a strategy. The station was outmatched in firepower, but it was equipped with experimental energy fields, stealth modules, and environmental controls. Ilior suggested using the asteroid belt itself as a weapon, diverting large rocks to create obstacles and confuse the enemy fleet. Lyra proposed hacking the enemy signals using the station's arrays to create false readings, making the raiders think there were multiple stations. "This will be risky," Ilior warned. "If we fail, the station could be destroyed and we won't survive." "Then we succeed," Lyra said, her confidence unwavering. "Humans survive. We always find a way." The first wave of alien ships arrived at dusk, casting long shadows across the station's hull. Ilior and Lyra coordinated the station's defenses, activating shields, rotating energy fields, and triggering the asteroid traps. The first few ships collided with the rocks or were misled by false signals, giving the humans an initial advantage. "It's working," Lyra exclaimed, typing rapidly to reroute energy through the shields. "Keep the array on their communications, confuse them further." Ilior nodded, sweat beading on his forehead. The station vibrated as the aliens fired pulses at them, testing every system. But Ilior and Lyra anticipated the attacks, improvising in real time. One alien drone tried to breach the station's outer hull, but Lyra rerouted energy to the laser turrets, disabling it instantly. "Nice shot," Ilior said, impressed despite the danger. "You mean our shot," Lyra replied with a grin. "Hours passed like minutes. The battle tested every skill they had, from technical knowledge to split-second decision-making. Their combined ingenuity allowed them to outmaneuver and outthink the alien fleet, even though they were vastly outnumbered. Each successful defense boosted their confidence, showing them that human adaptability was more than just a survival trait. It was a weapon of the mind." As the night deepened, a larger, more imposing alien ship entered the fray. Its energy signature was massive, and it commanded the smaller raiders with precision. Ilior and Lyra realized that if this flagship breached their defenses, the station would be lost. "We need a bold move," Lyra said, her eyes glinting. "Something they won't expect." "Like what?" Ilior asked, tension tight in his voice. Lyra smiled faintly. "Like humans always do, we'll use their confidence against them." Together, they devised a risky plan. They would lure the flagship into a trap, using the station's experimental gravity field, simulating a false energy signature that would make it appear vulnerable. If the flagship pursued, it would become entangled in a controlled gravitational distortion, giving the station the upper hand. "It's dangerous," Ilior said. "One mistake and—" "No mistakes," Lyra interrupted. "We trust each other. That's what humans do." They activated the plan. The flagship detected the station's false energy signature and moved in, confident that it had found an easy target. At the right moment, Ilior triggered the gravitational trap. The alien vessel was caught, its systems destabilized, and it could not escape the distortion. The smaller ships, seeing their leader incapacitated, faltered and retreated. Ilior and Lyra watched in awe as the alien fleet disengaged. The station had survived, not because of superior weapons, but because humans think differently, adapt, and act with creativity under pressure. "We did it," Ilior whispered, voice barely audible over the station's hum. We did it together, Lyra said, taking his hand. They spent the following hours repairing damage and analyzing data captured from the retreating fleet. Elior realized that the encounter had changed them both. They were no longer just individuals. They were a team, a partnership forged in adversity. You know, Lyra said later, looking at the stars, most people would have given up after one attack, but we survived and even turned the situation to our advantage. Elior smiled, feeling warmth he had not known in years. That's human nature. We endure, we innovate, we survive. But the battle was more than a test of skill. It was a revelation. They discovered that humans' ability to think creatively under pressure, improvise, and work together made them unpredictable and dangerous, even to superior alien forces. Their perseverance and courage had earned them a small, unspoken respect, even from enemies who would never admit it. The next days were quieter but filled with reflection. Elior and Lyra repaired the station's defenses, strengthened communication arrays, and cataloged the anomalies in the asteroid belt. They shared stories of human history, old legends of explorers and inventors, and lessons learned from past mistakes. Each tale reminded them that humans were capable of extraordinary feats when they believed in themselves and each other. I think, Elior said one evening, the galaxy underestimates humans. We're clever, resilient, and willing to take risks others won't. And we care for each other, for life, for survival. That matters more than firepower or numbers. Lyra nodded. Exactly. We're not invincible, but we're persistent, and persistence changes everything. For the first time, Elior felt a deep pride in his species. The humans who had settled distant colonies, the engineers, explorers, and pioneers, they were part of a tradition of innovation and courage that could overcome impossible odds. And now, he and Lyra were part of that story. Night fell on Violia Station once more, and the blue planet below glimmered in quiet serenity. Elior and Lyra stood on the observation deck, hands intertwined, watching the stars. The galaxy was vast, dangerous, and unpredictable, but for the first time they felt ready. Together they could face any challenge because they trusted each other and believed in human ingenuity. "Do you think they'll come back?" Lyra asked quietly. "Maybe," Elior replied, "but if they do, they'll find that humans do not give up. Humans adapt, humans survive. And we are never alone when we work together." The stars stretched endlessly, indifferent yet beautiful. Elior and Lyra, small humans in a vast galaxy, had faced danger and survived. Their bond was stronger than ever, forged not by comfort but by the trial of survival and human ingenuity. And in that quiet moment, they understood something vital. The galaxy would continue to test them, push them, and challenge them. But humans were not easily defeated. Creativity, courage, and cooperation were weapons far sharper than any alien fleet, and when combined with heart and determination, they could reshape destinies. As the first light of a distant star touched the station, Elior looked at Lyra and smiled. They were ready for whatever came next. Together, they were human, and humans always find a way. The quiet that followed the alien retreat did not last long. Violia Station hummed with the activity of repairs and recalibration, but Elior and Lyra knew that the galaxy would not forgive weakness for long. Every signal they monitored, every anomaly they detected, reminded them that danger could strike at any moment. Yet there was a sense of purpose in their work that had never existed before. Together, they had survived against overwhelming odds. Together, they had proven that human ingenuity, courage, and adaptability could challenge even the most advanced alien fleets. And together they were beginning to imagine a future beyond mere survival. "We've done the impossible before," Elior said as he adjusted a communication array, "and we can do it again. Humans always find a way." "Yes," Lyra agreed, watching him with admiration. "But now it's not just about surviving. It's about choosing what we want to become." That choice became clearer when the sensors detected a new threat. A massive alien vessel, far larger and more imposing than the previous fleet, was moving toward the system. Its energy readings suggested a fleet commander or warship capable of strategic destruction, and Elior knew that if it arrived, Vyrlia Station could not withstand a direct assault. "We need a plan," Elior said, tapping furiously on the console. "This is bigger than anything we've faced, and we'll handle it," Lyra replied calmly, "not because we have no fear, but because we refuse to surrender." They spent hours analyzing the incoming data. The alien ship's approach was deliberate, calculated, and designed to intimidate. Elior realized that brute force alone would not suffice. They needed strategy, creativity, and a human touch, qualities that no alien calculation could predict. "We need to turn their strength against them," Lyra suggested. "They rely on numbers and power. Let's give them a problem they cannot solve." Elior's eyes lit up. Together, they devised a bold plan. They would simulate multiple stations across the asteroid belt, using energy projections, false signals, and decoy drones. The alien commander would be forced to divide its attention, weakening its concentrated attack and giving the humans a chance to strike strategically. The plan required precise timing, flawless execution, and complete trust in one another. Elior and Lyra coordinated every movement, synchronized every signal, and double-checked every calculation. For the first time, the stakes felt personal. This was not just about survival, it was about proving that humans could stand their ground, no matter the odds. The alien ship arrived at dusk, a dark silhouette against the fading light of Vyrlia's star. Sensors lit up with its energy readings, massive pulses that threatened to overwhelm the station's shields. Elior and Lyra activated the decoys, diverting drones and manipulating energy fields to confuse the enemy. "It's working," Lyra whispered, her fingers dancing across the console. "They're falling for it." "Stay sharp," Elior warned. "They'll adapt quickly if we make a mistake." The alien commander did adapt, sending waves of drones toward the station. But Elior and Lyra were ready. Using a combination of environmental controls and calculated energy pulses, they trapped the drones in gravitational distortions, disabling them before they could reach the station. "Incredible," Lyra said, her voice filled with awe. "We're actually doing it." Elior smiled, feeling a surge of pride. Humans were outnumbered, outgunned, and underestimated, but their ingenuity, adaptability, and courage made them formidable. Every calculated risk, every improvisation, and every act of collaboration showcased the unique strength of humanity. Hours passed in tense focus. The alien ship, frustrated by the deceptive signals and relentless countermeasures, attempted a direct assault. But Elior and Lyra had anticipated this. They rerouted energy from the station's power cores to create an illusion of a massive defense grid, convincing the alien commander that attacking head-on would be suicidal. Finally, the alien vessel retreated, leaving Vyrlia Station untouched. Sensors confirmed the withdrawal and the station's alarms quieted. Elior and Lyra collapsed into their chairs, exhausted but triumphant. "We did it," Elior said, voice hoarse but filled with satisfaction. "They underestimated humans and we outsmarted them." "We did more than survive," Lyra said, smiling. "We proved that humans are clever, brave, and unstoppable when we work together." The victory was more than a tactical success. It was a human victory, a demonstration of resilience and ingenuity that even alien civilizations could not ignore. Elior realized that humans were no longer just colonists or engineers. They were a species capable of changing perceptions across the galaxy. Days later, the station returned to routine operations, but Elior and Lyra faced a new choice. Lyra could continue her travels, exploring distant colonies and encountering new civilizations. Or she could stay at Vyrlia Station, building a partnership not just with Elior, but with the mission of shaping humanity's place in the stars. One evening, as the blue planet glimmered below and the stars stretched endlessly above, Ilior and Lyra stood on the observation deck. "You know," Ilior said softly, "you don't have to stay. I won't ask you to, but I hope you will." Lyra turned to him, her eyes reflecting the light of distant galaxies. "I've chosen to stay," she said, her voice steady. "Not because I have to, but because I want to. We're stronger together, and I want to be part of this story." Ilior's heart lifted. The loneliness that had defined his years at Violia Station began to fade. For the first time, he felt not just companionship, but partnership. Together, they could face the galaxy, not as individuals, but as humans united by courage and creativity. Over the following months, they transformed Violia Station into a hub for exploration, diplomacy, and communication. The arrays Ilior had designed were now used to send messages of peace, collaboration, and knowledge to nearby systems. They reached out to other human colonies and even curious alien civilizations, showcasing the resilience and ingenuity of humanity. Stories of their success spread. Other species began to notice humans not as weak, naive, or primitive, but as clever, adaptable, and worthy of respect. Ilior and Lyra's work inspired a new reputation for humanity, one that would ripple across star systems for generations. One evening, as they watched a nebula glow in swirling colors, Ilior turned to Lyra. "Do you ever think about what comes next?" he asked. Lyra smiled, leaning on his shoulder. "The galaxy is vast, we'll face challenges, but humans, we find a way. And as long as we have each other, we can face anything." Ilior nodded. "Yes, humans survive, humans adapt, and humans inspire." The station hummed around them, alive with energy and possibility. Outside, the galaxy stretched endlessly, full of mysteries, dangers, and opportunities. But inside, on a small station orbiting a quiet blue planet, two humans had chosen to stay, to work together, and to show the galaxy what humanity could achieve. And that choice mattered more than anything. Not just for them, not just for Violia Station, but for the entire galaxy. Because humans, when united by courage, ingenuity, and heart, could turn impossible odds into triumphs. As night deepened, Ilior and Lyra held hands, looking at the stars. Their journey had begun with a lonely message, a hope for companionship, and a desire to be understood. Now it had become a story of human resilience, partnership, and the power to shape the future. The galaxy would continue to challenge them, but Ilior and Lyra knew this truth. Humans do not give up. Humans adapt. Humans endure. And humans always find a way. Together they smiled, ready for whatever the stars would bring next.